The oppressed do not get their freedom by appealing to the morality of their oppressors. Dear White People, chapters 3 and 4.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Okay, Chris Brown.
I was like, okay, this is. I'm like, what is?
Yes.
Brown. What's going on?
We got a whole panel of ladies.
Yes.
All skin tone.
Right, black girl madness.
Yes. I love
I
it.
know some people a little bit about Chris Brown, but just listen to the lyrics. It just makes sense.
I'm here for it. I'm here for
I
it.
think it was a good selection.
Thank you.
Cute, real cute. Right.
That's cute. Welcome, guys, to Dear White People. My name is TK Trinidad, but before I get into all that, let me introduce my co-host.
Hey, girl. Hey. Hey, guys. I'm Kia Monet. And you can follow me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom.
Hey everyone, I'm Ivanna Williams. You can follow me on Twitter at Ivanna L. Williams and on Instagram at Ivanna.Williams. Hey everyone, my name is Raquel Harris and you can find me on all social media at Raquel Harris TV.
And we have a very, very, very special guest in with us today. She was born in D.C., grew up in Maryland. She has a bachelor's in fine arts with a concentration in musical theater from Howard University.
Yeah.
Also, we found out, or I found out, a.k.a.
Yes.
After she graduated, she moved to LA to pursue her dream of becoming an actress, and she is currently on the Netflix original series Dear White People.
All right.
Please welcome Ashley Blaine Goddard.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
girl.
I know my full name is weird. It's Featherson. Like nobody ever. A lot of people say Featherstone. Some people say Feathers. Some people say all. I always say feather like a bird, sound like a child.
Oh, okay.
Like when I'm on the
That helps.
phone and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
It's cute.
I have that problem too. I tell them TK and they're like, I'm just T and K.
I do that with my name. I'm like Nakia, like Nokia phone, but with an A.
Ah.
Wow.
Because they get into Nikita. Nope,
I just
just
call
like
you
the
Nikita.
phone.
Nikita.
Kiki Boom Boom.
Nikita. No.
I'm like Nokia phone with the A. There you go.
Damn. That's crazy.
All right, so how was it like filming Dear White People?
It was amazing. I mean, it was for sure one of the best experiences of my professional career. And I mean, we have such, just starting at the head being Justin Simien, who's just a mastermind and a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. So working with him is always a joy. And then, having Yvette Lee Bowser, who's our showrunner, she's just brilliant. I mean, from everything from A Different World to Living Single to Blackish. I mean, it's just so many great shows that she's been a part of, and she's like a mom to all of us. And then I just think that the show is so well cast, and we have a lot of fun together. And I mean, we shot from September 1st to November 8th.
Oh, nice.
And it was just kind of like nonstop family, and we have our little group chat, and we talk all the time, we hang out, and it was just a joy.
Nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. So, how was it whenever y'all finally had some downtime? Did y'all get to kick it, and did y'all have
You
a
mean
lot of fun?
when we were done with the show, or while we were still shooting the show?
while you were still shooting, and if you had a little bit of downtime, did y'all?
Not really. I mean, we shot so fast. I mean, we shot all 10 episodes in 2 months, so we
Yeah, that is
we
quick.
didn't really have any downtime, to be completely honest. But I mean, we hung out on set and in our trailers, and I mean, the cool thing about Dear White People is that it's an ensemble show, so a lot of times we're together. You know what I mean? There's a ton of scenes that we're shooting together. There's tons of time to in between takes to just kind of hang out and goof off and stuff like that. Yeah, but during shooting we didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, what qualities do you share with your character Joelle?
I think that I am also very outspoken and passionate, and I too, like Joelle, loves love and believes in connections and being drawn to people, and I think that's really, and what I love about her most is that I think Joelle's a really good friend. And it's funny because on Twitter some people are like, Joelle's a bad friend, she just doesn't want Gabe to find out, because then if Gabe, just all this stuff, and I'm like, you guys, Joelle's not a bad friend, but I love all opinions. If people don't have opinions, then to me I'm not doing my job. Right. So I want people to have opinions, and I want them to be varied, and if everyone has the same opinion, then I'm kind of
boring. Right?
Yeah, it's boring, and I'm kind of side-eyeing it, But so anyway, so I love getting into discussions about that, and me and the girl going back and forth. She's like, oh, actually, I do kind of see that, so we're going back and forth. But I would say for sure the similarity that I love the most is that I really think she's a great friend, and I think that I'm a great friend too, and I have great friends around me every day that I'm just so blessed to have, and I know that that's really rare and unique, especially in a town like Los Angeles.
Okay.
You know, my tribe, like, nobody can, like, bang with my tribe, for real. Like, really and truly, so. Yeah.
So did you have any issues, like any difficulties with the character? We've
What
only
do you
gone up to
mean?
episode 4, so if you don't have to, like, without sharing too much.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, you guys have only seen up to episode 4?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well,
I've
for the
seen
show.
all.
Oh,
Yeah,
seen
so we
all
can't say
10.
too much else. So I'm like, were there any difficulties that you can speak of at the moment?
What do you mean by difficulties?
Like with the character, if you're something like, I don't really do this, so I'm having a hard time bringing this to the character because I'm not this way.
No, I would say no. The only thing that it wasn't a challenge, but I found to be interesting, is that Joella's 19.
Yeah.
And she's a sophomore in college, like trying to figure it out. I've done college.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of interesting, kind of going back to, college for me is some of your most formative years. Like that's when you come into who you are. That's when you're trying to figure it out. That's when you find out, like, what types of guys do I like? What types of girls do I like? What types of clothes do I like to wear? Am I comfortable in my skin? What type of, all of these things that I, as an adult, have kind of had the chance to figure out a little bit more. I mean, granted, we're all still figuring it out, but I've figured it out more than Joelle has at this point in her life. So for me, it was almost kind of like going back to that point in my life. And it wasn't a challenge, but it was fun.
Okay.
It was fun. So if it was a challenge, it was challenging in a fun way.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, Dear White People, they announced it on Netflix that it was coming out, I believe it was like February, March, and there was a whole bunch of backfire from a lot of folks who haven't even seen the show, as far as, they were trying to cancel it, encouraging people to cancel Netflix subscriptions, stuff like that. How did you feel about that? And did anybody come after you as far as, you shouldn't have done this project or anything like that?
So I mean, people went really up in arms just about, it wasn't even the trailer, it was just a date announcement. It was literally like, hey, this is the date that is coming out, April 28th, tune in. And people went absolutely nuts.
People were pissed.
Yeah, and it's so funny because a lot of people keep asking me, like, oh my God, like, how was that for you? Like, was it hard? Were you scared? And first of all, nobody came at me personally, but if they had, I wouldn't have cared. And for us, and I would really say, it's, nobody wants to be called the N-word. Nobody wants to be berated and disrespected and all of those things. But I mean, I think we have to understand that when we're talking about things that people are trying to ignore, there's automatically going to be backlash. But I think collectively, as like a team and as a unit, we all welcomed it. Like, again, if people aren't talking about it, if people don't care, if there is no controversy, then we're not doing our job. So we were all excited about it. We're like, great, look at all these people. Look at the 600,000 dislikes that we have. Like, we were,
crazy.
it was great.
Something. Right.
Yeah, it was fine.
I know when I'm watching Dear White People, there's a lot of things that I can relate to, and I'm like, oh, that happened to me.
Yeah.
This happened to me. Is there anything like that that's like when you watched it, where you like, oh, I went through this? I know you went to Howard and you're from DC, but were there any moments where you're like, I actually went through something like this? Or
so for me, like, I literally went to the complete opposite of a predominantly white university. I went to a historically black university. So in college, I didn't have the same type of experiences that maybe like, Joelle and Sam and all the kids did. But I think just as far as like a young girl trying to figure it out, there are a lot of similarities, whether it's like the unrequited love with a guy that, just doesn't even know that you like him or likes your friend or whatever it is. Like, I mean, everybody's been through that. But also I just think that, for me in high school, I went to a predominantly white high school and middle school and elementary school. And there were some interesting instances that were parallels, but not so much. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I relate to the characters, but not necessarily in the way, like in their college experience, because I had such an opposite college experience. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's start off with chapter 3. So it's all about Troy.
and his gray sweatpants.
Oh my God. So Brandon's like a brother to me. Literally, like, I cannot tell you how many text messages. Hi, Brandon, if you're watching this, I love you. But I cannot tell you how many text messages I get, like, oh my gosh, Troy is so fine, girl. Like, and I've known Brandon for like 6 years or something like that. So like long before the movie, before the TV show. So I'm always rolling my eyes like, guys, he alright.
No one cares.
He okay, I guess.
You're right.
I love him to
So we'll just kind of break it up. So let's start off with the donor event. So you have Troy at the donor event. He's trying to like hobnob it with everybody. His father's trying to like get him to kind of be the spokesperson for the university. What did you guys think of that whole
Troy Obama?
Yeah.
That was annoying.
It was so annoying. And it's like,
Troy
why
Obama.
don't you understand why this is offensive? But whatever. I think I like the fact that Justin had broke this down because it was very symbolic of what Obama was trying to do in both of his elections. I felt bad for Troy, especially with his relationship with his father, because I definitely related to that, like that scary, like, Dad, can I do this? Can I do that? And that type of, I don't know, I guess that childhood upbringing, you want to be able to see your parent as a best friend, even though they're not, but at the same time, you want them to understand your experience going through college and just listen to you. And so I felt like, I mean, honestly, that was like what I kind of took from Troy. And then with Obama, I was like, hey, thanks for that symbolism, Justin.
I always feel bad for kids whose parents put so much expectations on their kids and they to be mini them and be perfect. I'm always like, well, what does that do for you? Like, I know it looks good on paper and I know you can go to your friends, but like, what does it do for you?
They want you to be better than
and
you.
they want you to be better than, but it's like you put so much pressure on your kids, and that's why so many of these kids who go to these Ivy League schools do drugs, they sell drugs, they kill themselves because their parents make it so hard on them.
Or they just sneak out, or they'll lie, or they'll just do meaningless things. Because I mean, I would say that's how I was. I didn't go wild in college though, like, but my dad my parents definitely had a heavy hand on me when it came to my education and me going to college and being serious, not messing around with boys. Like, I do at this point in my life appreciate that, because a lot of people, I'm not saying all people at my high school, but they kind of fell underneath, the pressure of their environment, and that's an unfortunate truth that happens with a lot of black kids in those urban communities. So I mean, personally, thank you, Dad, for doing that for me, because I may not have been where I was or where I am today.
I think we saw it unfold how he really began to like where this resentment comes from and why, and it was so tough, because a lot of times when parents are too hard on their children and they create this path for their children all the way up to their career, they don't have the capacity to find out what do they like, and they know what they don't like. They don't want to keep doing what Daddy's making them do, but it's like, what if he's more of a creative and he wants to do other stuff and not get into politics? He doesn't have that ability to find himself, essentially. And so when that happens to people, young adults, I feel like they just explode eventually.
It's a fine balance, because I had the same type of upbringing. It's like there was no option. Like, you were going to university.
Period.
It's
like,
not,
what do you mean?
Choices. Like,
You thought.
So there was no option, but my parents kind of gave me that. I guess they realized that you don't allow me to do it, I'm going to do it anyway. So they gave me enough of that kind of wiggle room where it's like, okay, well, she wants to go to the States, fine, whatever. Like, she wants to run track, fine, whatever. As long as she's doing the right things and she's doing something, they were happy. What kind of irritated me, and I don't know if this is like a personal irritation, like the first scene where he's shaking hands with one of the donors. I think it's actually one of the donors.
Oh God, I know what you're saying.
Oh,
you play football, or what position do you play? And that, like,
I bet you're pretty fast.
Yeah,
like,
it annoys me.
That was such a get out moment.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, it annoys me to the extent, because I get that all the time, and I don't know whether to feel like, oh, they still think I'm an athlete, that's great, or are you thinking I'm an athlete based off of it's just really, I don't know how to feel about that.
Your stature is associated with athleticism.
So I don't know how to feel that. Have you ever felt like those situations just outside in Los Angeles, or?
Well, kind of back to what we were kind of talking about with Troy. I think one of the most telling parts of the episode is when he votes for somebody else.
Yes.
Because it's him expressing himself, but in private. Nobody can see that he's voting for somebody else, which I think is also brilliantly done.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that he's going to do that. And it just shows how much he's trying to not be what everybody else really wants him to be. My upbringing was a little different. My parents were very like, do what you want to do. Want to go to school for musical theater? Great. Like, they never encouraged me to, like, I don't know, be a lawyer or something like that, because they knew that's not something I was into. Also, growing up, my parents, I didn't have overprotective parents, and I think that the overly protective parents, which I think is why I never went through like the rebellious phase that a lot of my friends in high school did. Like, a lot of my friends were doing things that I was like, what is wrong with you? What is happening? Like, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Like, can you explain this to me? Like, what is this? I never even felt the need to do it because my parents didn't say, you got to be in the house at this time, you got to do this, you got to have these types of grades. They just allowed me to really be me. And I'm really, 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 and that doesn't mean it didn't scare them at times. I think that especially for my dad, it was terrifying me, like living this like struggling actress life in LA. Like it's hard, you know, it's really, really hard. But I think that ultimately they always knew everything would pay off. But no, I don't feel like people necessarily like stereotype me a lot. I do find sometimes that people, like if I'm at a store or something, that people automatically, or a restaurant, sometimes think that I work there. That just happened to me recently. And I was like, no, I don't work here. I was like, I'm waiting in line just like you.
Right.
And they were like, oh.
Funny thing is.
Were you wearing like anything that, like, because sometimes I'll understand, like, okay, you're wearing the same, like,
yeah,
same
like if I were at
pants or
Target
something.
wearing like khaki pants and a
Right.
red collared shirt, then I would totally get it. But also I wouldn't go to Target wearing that.
Right.
Because you know
that
the
part.
uniform.
Yeah, but no, I was regular person like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like
that has happened to me where I don't look anything like any of the employees. I have on a bag and my regular clothes, and someone will ask me a question, and I'm like, I don't work here.
Yeah.
I'm not even
You
dressed.
get followed.
They don't even look for the name tag, because sometimes I look at somebody, I'm like, okay, let me just see. Do I see a name tag? If I don't see a name tag, and I'm not even asking, and it's like they feel like it's okay. It's like, oh well, who cares?
they'll just start to ask even
Right.
before they're not. They don't even say, "Hey, excuse me." They just, can you tell me where such and such
Yeah.
is? I'm like, ma'am,
No, I
sir,
can't.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm looking forward to actually.
No, and it's funny. I actually had an experience like that while I was in a store, and I was working there at the time, and a person that came up to another customer who was a black man, and he was a white man, and he had said, "Oh, can you tell me about these vans?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't work here." And then the white man was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then he said, "What makes you think that I work here?"
Oh gosh, that's awkward.
I was like, and I was like, I need to start answering like that, because then like you just never know what their response is gonna be. Like, what makes you think that I work here? And he had an entirely different outfit too. So I'm like, it's weird.
It's kind of one of those things where you almost need to do that, so then that person remembers
and understands
the next time. Like, think
it's a
about
teaching
it.
moment.
Yeah.
But then
unfortunately.
But then you're so irritated. You're just like, nah, like just
Get away.
You should have had a V8.
Yeah.
Right. You're just like, okay.
Also, that happened at the donor event. The dean keeps introducing Troy to Nika Hobbs.
Ooh, Nia Long.
I know. I was like, okay, Nia. I was like, that's fine. But no, and I like that they. I did not know that they were actually, Troy and Nia were together. That
I
shocked
didn't
me.
put two and two together. But
I
was
did.
like,
When she
okay.
said goodbye, I'm so nosy and I'm very observant, and I read people's body language. And when she's with her girlfriend and she says bye to him, but she looks at him like, maybe because I was doing that.
I saw that too, but I just thought she did it because she thought he was a handsome guy.
Right,
And
no.
I didn't think that it was gonna turn into.
I
like
think
a,
my mind is just always there, and I was just doing that to Troy,
have a dirty
watching the
mind.
screen. So I was like, I feel you, Nia. She's definitely knocking that
I
off.
must have felt naive because I saw it, but I was like, okay, she's been a little weird. I didn't know if it was something that was going to happen in the future or what. But then I was like, she has a
years.
girlfriend here, and then I'm thinking you're a professor.
What are you
Okay,
doing
but
and
in my mind, I'm
why?
like, we're in college, so you're above 18. Whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, I think for Troy, it's it's sexy because it's a power thing for him, but also she's off limits in the world of his father and in the world of Winchester. So it's appealing to him. Troy is
that's
constantly, I
enticing.
think, trying. He's trying to do things that are secretly defiant. And I think that's kind of what that signifies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, I enjoyed it. I was like, yes, Nia.
I enjoyed it.
No, I enjoyed seeing her. Like, I enjoyed seeing her and the white people. And I enjoyed, like, knowing that she had a girlfriend, but, like, knowing a few hours later that they were hooking up.
Yeah.
Because it is, like, a power play. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like I knew they would, but I just didn't think that they would show it, I guess, like that. So I
was
was
like, oh,
very
Nia.
awesome to see.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they weren't just. They've been doing it for 2 years.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what also got me. And she's like, your dad's always introducing
And he's
us.
only 20 because he wasn't able to drink at
Yeah.
that party, so it's kind of predatory. I don't know.
I mean, if you're above 18, it's like it's fair game.
Then you're in
but
college.
still.
Yeah.
I know, I felt
It's
that
so
way too.
weird.
It's weird, but I guess it's like once you, I mean, I could reference other situations in celebrity life, but
Yeah.
it's but at the same time, I guess it's like once you hit 18.
I think also when I was in college or even when I was younger, I thought that I was older than what I really was.
Yeah.
Because there's times now that I look back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that person's that age. And I'm like, wait, they're only a year older or younger than me. Because when I was like 12, for some reason, I thought that I was older.
Yeah.
Same thing in college. When I look at these college and high school kids, I'm like, oh my, clutching my pearls. But then I'm like, wait a minute, but when I was in college, I thought I was grown.
Yeah.
Like, we were doing things, there were no
I thought I
parents
was
around,
grown.
you were having parties. People couldn't, you couldn't drink. You weren't supposed to drink, but you were doing things that you weren't supposed to do. So,
but even how Troy acts, he's carries himself in such a way, such a way where he acts older. Not acts older, he's just more mature. Well, so I can definitely see that. Like Mia with the Thane, like the football player, that just wouldn't have worked out ever. Just because.
I think he likes her too because she doesn't have baggage.
Right.
Because the other girls that he's sleeping with, they're like, oh, well, am I your side chick or am I your main person?
Your Marilyn or
so
your
he's
Jackie.
like, yes. So he's like, she has her
Your
stuff
Marilyn.
together. She's not gonna be on my back.
Right.
She has her own life,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's what's appealing.
And she has just as much to lose as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 'Cause that's a
Perfect
scandal.
segue. Thank you. So let's talk about Troy and Miss Coco.
Oh, Coco.
They're a beautiful couple.
They are.
They are a beautiful couple,
If
and
they'd actually make it a couple.
and that's unfortunate because that's the sad part about that situation.
I like knowing that I know the end and I know why you're like.
I know.
I just wish he would be like upfront about their relationship. Like, it seems as if he's hiding it, like as if he's. I don't want to say that he's ashamed, but when we kind of go into her backstory of why she says like, oh, well, I just don't want a brother to just say like, hey, just like spit game at you.
Right.
But then you have Troy who says, you're chocolate queen. I want you to, like, I don't want, saying like giving her all
Corny.
the, corny.
You don't want that chocolate to melt, do
But
you?
but it broadens the understanding that all black men are not the same, and every single black man that you meet there are some black men, and actually what a lot of people don't understand that there's more black men with black women out there, and the media likes to portray it to be otherwise, but it's not that way. So I was here for that scene, but I do wish that I want Coco to not be on his back, because if he's a single man, let him be a single man and do what he wants to do. But at the same time, if you're going to have me around, then respect me as so. So, I mean.
At first, I thought it was just simply because he doesn't have time for her because he's got this election and he's got his father on his back. So he's probably just not thinking of her in that way. But when we saw the flashback and how he seemed to be more open about his romance with Samantha, which was so random, it's just like, okay, so he takes her out, so to speak, but he keeps Coco in.
And I feel bad because of her insecurities and how she already feels about herself.
Oh, yes.
She automatically goes there like, well, the light-skinned girl's better than me. How come she's in public and I'm not? And I feel so bad because that's a real thing that a lot of black women, a lot of darker, like just any type of black woman, you have these stereotypes and you have the media that puts all these things in front of you. You think that is true. So when you go out to college or the real world and you meet these guys, unfortunately, your insecurities play a part. So when you see him with your old friend who happens to be light-skinned with the nice green eyes,
Can't help but
according
be.
to you, the nice green eyes, you think that you're less than. And I just wanted to give her a hug like, no, girl.
Yeah.
But
You're
I
so
think
beautiful.
too with that, I can appreciate how she just called him out on it. It's like, okay, well, what am I? Because I could have got together with Chad, who's the fifth.
But could she have gotten with
in her
Chad?
mind,
Because we saw how that worked
We'll get to
out.
that one. I have a...
So we will get into that. But it's just kind of like I could appreciate the fact that she just she's not gonna wait around.
Yeah.
Just like let me know what the deal is. So then
But
if
also
it's a
stop
jump off, then let's be a jump off. If not, then I know what it is.
True.
So.
I just wish she was a little bit less thirsty for a man's attention. Like, please, can you just
For
go to
anyone's
class?
attention, she's thirsty for the sorority's attention.
I think
she's thirsty for Muffy's attention.
Yeah, I think that the issue with Coco and Troy is that they want completely opposite things.
Yeah.
I think that Troy wants someone to genuinely just love him. Not care that he's the dean's son, not care that he's attractive, not care that he's has potential, just genuinely just think that he's amazing. And I think that Coco wants someone, I think that finding her beautiful is actually very low on the totem pole. I think she wants someone to find her to be powerful and useful almost. And that's what I think Troy is afraid of.
Yeah.
Because that's his dad feels that way about him. The school feels that way about him. He's almost starting to feel like, should I feel this way about myself? And now there's kind of a woman, a beautiful woman at that, but who kind of comes in wanting the same thing. And I think that it makes him kind of go into his shell a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's busting out of hers because she's like, hello, like, don't you see me? Don't you see how? But they just want different things, which we've all been there before. Just want different things.
Okay.
I agree.
You got a U-turn.
Let's talk a little bit about the election trail before we move on. So he goes to different organizations. So like
That was funny.
That was great to watch.
Sequence.
That was hilarious.
When he was making that dumpling or whatever, I was like, oh my God.
I was like, oh.
The thing I actually liked about that particular scene is he's making the dumpling, and then the Asian guy with the American accent, because it just felt like it was just so perfect, because when you think of stereotypes, people never think, oh, well, they have an American accent, and you're thinking, oh, well, they're Asian, therefore, and he just had an American accent just like if you close your eyes, just like anybody else, and that was just like
he's like this
spot on.
Yeah, just perfectly placed for, like, you're just Spanish. It was just a great scene.
It was a
And
good scene.
they also brought in feminist issues too.
That
And I was
hilarious.
like, she said this is promoting rape culture, and I was like, a tug of war. Away, like I literally was like,
Oh, and she was talking about like in their hyper masculinity.
Yes.
She was talking more about it, but it was weird how he played both fields, because he's like, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
and then some football player comes up, he's like, hey, dude, you want to get some ass or whatever? And I'm like, dude, come on.
He had to play to all the different
it
groups
was
to get that vote.
But that's an ode to politics.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
Everyone, you
Oh my
gotta play both
God.
sides.
Yeah, we was like first on my priority
Frustrating.
list.
First thing on my list, you have to play to every single group.
Yes.
You may not be telling the truth,
Not at
but to
all.
get that vote,
The
you
truth
got
is, Troy doesn't care about any of it.
no.
None
Right.
of
Not
it.
a single community group, organization. Like, he doesn't care about any of it.
Yeah.
He just wants to live his life.
Yeah, and I felt that way because with it being kind of symbolic to Obama and why people hate on him so much, like, oh, he didn't do anything for the black community, he didn't do it, and I'm like, can you cut him some slack?
Yeah.
Please. Obama did the best that he could. He was the first black man to do it, and one day he's not black enough, one day he's too white. Like, I need you to, like, give him some praise, because he's passed a lot of laws that are now being taken out, and he's
A
solved
lot of people went to work because of President Obama.
Okay, exactly.
That wasn't working. I know when I graduated from college, while Bush was, in office, it was hard for our class to get jobs, and I know that President Obama was able to get a lot of people jobs and insurance that they didn't have. So,
and he helped a lot of people. He helped a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds, financially and cultural backgrounds. So if he were to single in on black issues at hand, I feel like they would have eaten him up.
Yeah.
Period.
For sure.
he wouldn't be president.
He would have made it.
Exactly, and that's going into Troy's situation, that if he would have paid attention to one group, then no one would have loved him. So it's like, he's doing the best that he can, and I love that Justin put that in there, because so many people diss Obama, and I get tired of hearing it. So it's like, okay, well then you run next time, since you can solve all the
See
problems.
how easy it is.
Right, to be president, like, come on now.
Oh gosh, and it's just, we can go into the whole thing with the girlfriend who was white, and what.
It's too much.
We'll just move on. Chapter 4. Miss Coco. So.
Oh wait, we didn't. That friend, the one that was blackmailing Troy.
Kurt.
Oh, Kurt.
Yes, Kurt. It's like, now let's talk social pardons. How did y'all feel when y'all saw that?
Everybody
text
got a
message?
goddamn cell phone. I just feel like everyone
Man.
is always watching you, and you have to be careful. And that's a risk that they were taking.
That was very risky.
Yeah.
very risky.
Well,
on campus grounds outside.
his father asked him to, or the president asked Troy to pardon him as well. So.
And my thing is, I'm supposed to save you for being racist? Like, I just don't.
He already said I've been saving your ass all the time.
Since what, 6th grade? I'm like, come on now, kid. And then you do, come on, kid. Like, you're doing a whole blackface party, and I'm supposed to save you? I just, like, the logic just doesn't make sense to me. It just does not make sense, but if you want to continue on to chapter 4.
I'm just looking at the times, like, I'm trying to fit it all in.
I know.
It's really too much.
It is a
And
lot.
we're only 4 episodes in.
Yeah,
Right.
cover it all. It's like, okay.
Man.
So let's talk about Coco and her marshmallow gang. How she.
I know, I love that. That was funny.
That's, how she interacts with her friends versus how she interacted with Sam. Like, what do you kind of think of that whole relationship?
I mean,
I think she got burned. She got burned at a young age, because when we see her backstory, and she's like, no, you get the ugly one. And so for long, it's a nurtured.
Was horrifying.
It was horrifying, but that's the truth with a lot of these stories where they're nurtured to believe that they're ugly. So when they grow up, they start to have problems with other black people who are light skinned. And I had to sit there and look at it, and I discussed this with you guys before. I had saw the documentary Dark Girls, and I immediately was like, this is an insult. Like, we all should be able to have a documentary portraying the struggles that we have as a black person. But I had to take a step back and say, you know what, I do have privileges as a light-skinned person. And so when Coco had said that to Sam, I felt like Sam was like, yeah, and I didn't like how she came on the radio and dragged her. And then when she stepped her and she's like, the only reason, if your words were coming out of my mouth, it would be a different story. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Period.
It's true.
I like that she called her out and told her about her light skin privilege, because that's something you really don't see a lot. And Sam was taken aback, like, whoa, wait, someone actually called me out on something.
Yeah.
So I like that she called her
And you
out.
don't understand.
And I think, and also that it came from Coco.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, wait a minute.
And then, and I didn't like that too, because Coco made a good point. Why are you taking this airtime to drag other black people? If you have a problem or if you want to create a conversation, then call me. You know, we're friends.
I just wish her Marshmallow Gang was not with her when she did that.
Yes.
But
What'd she say? I thought she was gonna call her the N-word.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
kind of wish she was
I
by
don't know.
herself.
I kind of like that they were there in the sense of you see that that's all she has,
Right.
and the contradiction of that is really telling. You know that these, white girls are kind of following her along to something that they didn't really even. They probably, I know that they didn't even understand what that conversation was about.
Right.
Yet she feels like these people are my support system, and they're not.
Yeah.
That's
So I
true.
think I actually like that, and Justin is brilliant. So it was very intentional that she didn't go there alone.
Yeah.
And that she walked out of that office and with a faux almost sense of power, but with these girls walking behind her.
Yeah.
Like I think that it was actually very telling.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of we could take the Marshmallow Gang and when Coco and Sam were friends and take that into the bedroom where one of them said they call their vibrator Idris. And how do you feel about a woman who says, or a white woman or any woman other than black says, like, I don't date black men?
Well,
like that's a whole nother.
Black men are fetishes.
I think that some white women think that we think it would be but it's not. Like, I feel like if that's your preference, that's your
Yeah,
preference.
I think-
like, no one cares. Like, I feel like, because I went to a predominantly white school, and I've had these high school, and I had these conversations with a lot of my female white friends. And I'm like, honestly, we don't care if you don't date black guys. Like, that's your preference.
Yeah.
We don't think you're racist. So,
I think
least
it
for
depends
me.
on what you're if there's a reason.
Right.
So like if you're saying you don't date black men because I don't know, I believe that they're predators and they're
Right.
That's the
criminals
problem.
and they're like super scary and
Right.
like whatever, then that's a different thing. Or if someone were to say like I don't date Middle Eastern men because I feel like they're all terrorists or something.
Right.
Right.
That to me is not. But I do believe that people can have
Their preference.
preferences.
Yeah.
Like, and actually, like my character Joelle is very much so like that. Reggie's like that. Like. Joelle wants to date a black man. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. She's not saying that white men or Asian men or Latino men are not attractive or acceptable, but she has a desire and a longing to be with a black man. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Discussing race preferences in dating, it gets really iffy. I think we don't blink twice whenever we hear a black person say, I prefer to date black people. But sometimes when you get to the root of it, of why a white person won't date a black person, it's based in stereotypes. Just I'm from the South, so whenever I would hear white women say I don't really date black men, it's always something racist. It never fails.
Right.
So you don't date them because what? I don't get that.
But then I feel like sometimes our community then has an issue when they do date.
I was just about to say,
and then it's
sorry,
like,
girl.
so then it's the interracial couple situation.
Right.
And is it a fetish?
Sometimes
is it
it is.
Sometimes it. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of the times it is.
Yeah.
Why do you have a black dildo named Idris?
Because
What are black men known for? It's a fetish.
I mean,
It's a fetish. It's like,
Absolutely.
and the same with black women. A lot of white men and other cultured men keep it under wraps that they are not attracted to black women, but they are. And it's because it's a fetish. It's,
and the way they fetishize black women's bodies and the big
Absolutely,
butt and all this stuff,
absolutely.
like, it's unnecessary.
Exactly. So I mean, at the same time, like when I see an interracial couple, do I get pissed? I don't get pissed, but I get curious. Like, why are you together? Like, what brought you together?
But
what were
even
the
still-
similarities?
Yeah, but even still, whenever they were naming all the black men that they were sleep with, they were light skinned. Ooh, that Jesse Williams. Ooh,
Oh,
that
yeah,
Drake.
Drake
yeah,
can
so
get
it's
it.
like they were black,
you know.
but they still had to be like not too
Jesse
black.
Williams.
But then the dildo is
Idris.
dark
Yeah.
as night.
Yeah, and that's just a black
the sex
dick.
part of it. Like we would
Exactly.
date
Yeah.
these biracial men, but
Exactly.
for sex, it's Idris.
Yeah.
That was very
This-
interesting.
They love you, but
Bingo.
not the color.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm not
I
even
mean,
going to
hey,
like,
we
Oregon.
get it.
Oregon was a whole nother.
You
Anyways.
said Oregon?
Yeah, I went to Oregon.
Yowzers.
Yeah, we had like they recruited the men at the black people at Oregon. Majority of them were athletes, and so the men were beautiful, and so you can kind of see how, especially somebody who hasn't been in the culture, now we're in this goldfish thing, and everybody. It was just.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. Going to parties and seeing how they like worship them, it was crazy to me because I'm like, that's not, like how you think of Troy. I was like, that's my he's cool. I've seen him
Okay,
poop,
I have a
so,
quick question
whatever.
because speaking of the party and her friends, do y'all agree that, or what do y'all think? Do you think that Coco should have known she wasn't going to get chose by those white men?
I mean, okay, if I was Coco, I mean, I wouldn't have been in that situation, but
I
if
wouldn't have gone.
I would have been in that situation. But honestly, I had a bigger problem with the fact that she was there in order to get kissed by someone. Like that, honestly,
Midsummer
what
Night
hit me
Party.
first.
Summer night party.
Yeah, like you're there to get chosen, and whatever you end up doing after you get chosen was more so my issue. Like that kind of scared me because it was like, why are you going to this party to have sex with someone, or and because that makes you feel beautiful.
Well, it's sex was part of it, but it's also kind of attaching yourself to somebody. So when they become whatever they are, a big time lawyer or whatever,
Right.
putting yourself in that position, and that happens today. Like, but you could even take it to the church. Like people go to seminary schools and stuff like that, and women go in order to meet pastors in order for the mega churches.
Well,
like,
and
that
that's
just happens
stereotypically how white women are perceived too. Like, oh, let me go get a rich husband so that I can either drop out of college and I don't have to do anything
Right.
anymore. So I mean, and maybe that's the life that she wants. She wants to be able to sit next to a white woman and say, oh yeah, I got chosen by a white man too, and I'm obviously just as good, and I'm sitting next to a white woman, so I'm beautiful too. And that's, I mean, obviously all of those variables come in together, but for me, when I saw that scene, I was just sad. Like, woman, you're more than that.
Yeah.
She was. I don't know that she knew that.
I was just about to say.
I don't, and I also
thought she was
think
gonna
that
do
Well, no,
that.
she didn't. That's why she had the audacity to show up.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that she wanted to be seen as equal.
Yes.
Yes.
She wanted to almost like
And they didn't see her as equal.
no. She stuck out like a sore thumb.
Went to high school with a lot of Cocos.
Come on now.
But it all roots back to something. And I mean, but at the same time too, I'm glad that I never as a black woman struggle with that. Like, and I've never gotten a perm, nothing like that. Like, I'll do weaves and stuff like that, but I never felt like my nappy hair was ugly.
Oh
ever.
my gosh, let's touch quickly on that whole weave
For
situation.
sure.
Oh man, listen.
First off,
There's nothing wrong with getting a weave.
It's
I
not.
know there's nothing wrong with it. Here is my issue. The braiding and the whole installation of the weave, that was like
It looked bad.
1980s,
Yeah.
1990s.
Yes.
Today's weaves, girls, if
It's
your
a whole
if your
system.
if your head hurts, then you're
It's
Someone-
wrong.
someone
Just
did-
like Sam said, alopecia, that is a real thing.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
But
No.
people are
Yes.
still getting weaves that hurt.
I'm like,
That's still
shouldn't-
happening.
It shouldn't be though. There's
But
been
it is
so
happening.
much-
Like, it's happening. It's just like people are still getting relaxers that are burning them. Like,
Yes.
that's still
Yeah.
might not be happening to us, but it's
Right.
1000% happening.
especially if you don't want to pay, like if you can't afford to pay
Yeah.
as much money as someone else who
Yeah.
can
You're
get
right.
those weaves.
It's
You
happening.
go to your friend who can do it for $80-$70
Who
and
ain't
it
in
may,
school.
who's not in school, and it may
Don't
hurt
drop
a little
down.
bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shut up, Abigail.
Okay, so my bad. I was just hoping we all evolved.
No, we
I
have
guess
not.
I guess it's just us in the room.
No, yeah, I was weirded out because I was just like, a weave, okay, whatever, braids, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care about that, but I don't feel I'm very appreciative or very happy that I lived in a black home that taught me like, no, like live
Yeah.
your hair is beautiful,
Yeah.
nappy,
Anyway,
kinky,
yeah,
straight,
anyway it
do
is.
whatever you want to do. Like, it's
Yeah.
not
I know
that deep.
struggle.
Yeah.
I think even sometimes, like a lot, even sometimes when you're in that certain environment or a home, it's when you go out and if you're not built
Oh,
strong,
absolutely.
when you go out to the schools and because I came from the same thing, you know what I'm saying? My family was like, you're beautiful, you black, you have like this great hair, but I went from an all black school from Brooklyn, New York to a predominantly white Catholic school in Boston, and I wasn't as strong, you know what I'm saying? The first 2 years of high school,
Right.
Yeah.
my insecurity, that's why when I look at Coco, I'm like, man, I wasn't as bad, but I could relate. And then I had to go back home and my mother had to like condition me and be like, girl, you know, and it's girls like that, and I feel so bad for young ladies like that. And I wish more girls were stronger to know like it's all good. You don't have to go down that line.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I just I'm not even gonna touch on it. We have a little bit more time, and since we have a bevy of AKAs here, let's talk about the whole sorority situation.
Oh, we're in the majority.
Yes,
Yes.
you guys are the majority.
Yes, the majority.
So I figured you guys can give your opinion as far as yay or nay, or what you disliked or didn't like. Or
Would you like to start?
No.
I was in shock a little bit. I did not, in my mind, and I called her this morning, and I was like, I called her this morning, soror. I called her this morning, and was like,
alert, soror, alert.
did you see that? Oh my God, they're talking about us. Oh my God, Flip's hair. No, I literally was like, oh no, don't do that. Because literally, when I saw the girl with the pink and green, then the just 3 layers of pearls, I said, oh,
Yeah.
I see. But I was in shock because it was a very biased, very, very biased in one viewpoint of what Greek life is. That is not all of what all of the Divine Nine. Now, I don't know when it comes to white organizations, but our organizations continue for a lifetime. So that means community service. And on top of that, I am never going to be ashamed of me being a part of first and second generation after slavery, coming together and having something where I promote education, uplifting, and just beauty within the Black community. I'm never going to be ashamed of that, period.
and a sisterhood.
Yeah.
As
Absolutely.
You should not
and
be.
Exactly. And to the point where they said, well, when Sam was like, can't you do this without an organization? You absolutely can. We're not going to you and telling you, be an AKA.
Right.
We're not doing that. So if you want to join, then you can join. If you would like to not join, then absolutely. But at the same time, these predominantly Black organizations promote mentorship with little girls and little Black boys around the world, and literally around the world. So for me, when I saw it, I was like, Justin. But at the same time, I understood it was fair game in the Black community because that is a very important part, and I do not like the elitism in when it comes to Greek life, because I don't feel like I'm better than anyone else, and I'm sure that my sorors do not either, and for that goes for all the rest of the Divine Nine. So no, we are here to help and promote community service, period, point blank.
That's where the air horn comes in. I don't know if you're-
right. Flips here.
I told y'all.
Speak on it.
Prepared for
Hey,
y'all.
no, I literally was like, oh God, this is gonna be a thing today. But when you said, oh no, because I'm a soror too, I was like,
Oh, that's why you were wondering why I asked earlier.
yes,
Oh,
no.
gotcha.
Because we were like, oh, shots fired. No,
Yeah.
but no. We were like sitting there like,
Yeah, I was like,
No.
When I seen it, I thought of you guys. I'm like, oh, okay, they went there. As most shows
Here's
and
the
movies
thing.
do.
Maybe I can tend to be somewhat liberal when it comes to things like this. I've learned about myself. But I agree with everything you said. You know, being an AKA is one of my proudest accomplishments. You know, some of my best friends are my line sisters and my sorors.
Absolutely.
And it's my, I come from a legacy of like my grandma's an AKA. Like it's a beautiful thing. However, hazing does exist.
It does.
And what happened in episode 4 really happens in real life. Like I will admit, I didn't think that it was exaggerated. I didn't watch it and was like, this is unrealistic, guys. Justin, where did this come from? Like I to be completely honest, didn't feel that. There were like, that is true. You do have to like pick the right room for a program, and if you get it wrong, then you could be in trouble. Like, that's a real thing. And yes, it is one side of it. But I would have had an issue with it, I think, if it were a side that were completely, it's the same thing how a lot of people have an issue with the movie that just came out on Netflix.
Burning Sands.
Burning Sands. A lot of people have an issue with it. That is one side of the hazing process, but it is a true side of the hazing process. Like that, those are just facts. It is what it is. So, So I don't know. I didn't really take offense to it. I was more so like, oh, here they go, throwing on pink
That's
and
how I
green.
felt.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
how. Yes.
Yeah.
And it begins.
Right, and then they tried to mix it up with Alpha Delta Rho. I was like,
Yeah, they could have had on like, orange and
Right.
something.
chartreuse or
Because
something.
when
I don't know.
seen the
but
pink and green, I'm like, oh, okay, they're
the
supposed
pink
to be
and green
AKA.
and pearls definitely made it like clearly you're talking about us.
Yeah.
But we're often imitated.
Hey.
There's the air horn. Air horn.
Yeah, but no.
Cloth talk, special cloth talk.
and that's why I said it was fair game.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big part of the Black community. And so when I saw it, and what I liked though is that they had a dark skinned girl and they had a light skinned girl on the side of the main chick. So I mean, yeah. So I was like, thank you and they went after Sam after she had a strong speech. Like, I mean, besides the is that your hair? That was the only part that I was like, oh, that's not true. But and that to clear that up too, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has a spectrum of different of colors and backgrounds and walks of life. So do not have that misconception because that is not true.
But you know what? I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
okay.
I think you know what it is. It's such an amazing organization as any sorority. I think everyone's still human.
Yeah.
And I think what they did, they found, because everyone is not perfect. And no job, no sorority, nothing you do. No. So I'm not in Greek life. I wanted to be, but I went to an all-girls college and they didn't believe in inclusive leadership. So I was upset. And then it was all hazing. So that's why I was down in Boston. But I think I like that it showed that everyone's human. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a group of amazing AKAs and amazing women, but there's always that one person who ruins it for everyone else.
Exactly. No, and
One
that's
bad apple.
You know what I'm saying? And it sucks
and every
because-
chapter's not the same.
Exactly.
No,
Everyone's
no.
not like that, but everyone isn't perfect. But everyone isn't mean and rude.
Yeah.
And so I like that they showed it when I seen it. I did think of you
The
too.
above ground pledging was a shock to me. I was like, oh, okay, because she was out in the
Oh,
cafeteria.
that
was
was, I
kinda
will
weird.
say, but again, that happens too.
It happens, but
not as often as what it was in the 80s
something
and
you have
90s.
to it's been denounced, and so just to see something that again, I was like,
But
okay.
people get away
But I
with
did
it.
really appreciate too whenever she went back in that room and just told them all.
Oh, I love that.
that too.
I loved it. I was
Yeah.
like, great, because you don't need them. It's again, she's just trying to find a place to belong, and this isn't working out for her either. So she, tells them off or whatever.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I
was
love
like, good.
chapter 4. Coco was just telling everybody
I
else.
love.
Yeah.
Chapter 4. It's one of my favorite. It's
love
such a
it.
good episode.
Yeah.
It's such a and
Loved
see
it.
Sam and Coco's friendship. It
I
just
know. It touched
it
me.
really warms my heart. And again, it was an episode I'm not in, so it was one that I got to see, and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, it just.
I loved it. I would say it's one of my favorites because I loved seeing
it's
that.
a really
dynamic.
well done, well acted.
Yes,
It's just a great.
It's all this whole for the people who haven't watched it because of the title. It's not. There's so many little things. Like if you noticed, Coco and Sam were at the reject table at the beginning of episode 4.
Yeah.
And at the end of episode 4, Coco is at the reject table by herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all these little things that you pick up, especially when we have to watch it actively versus passively, that you really appreciate about the show as far as writing, acting, all that stuff.
True.
Dude, just.
I know it's an
show,
amazing
man.
piece. Like, and literally the things that I think they're not gonna include, he comes right afterwards
Yes.
and I'm like, oh my god, like
oh,
literally,
but I got it.
No, seriously, I'm sitting here like he literally had to have a list of just Black issues and just knocked it down, and I'm like, wow, like it really, and it really becomes emotional watching it because you're like, wow, these are all the issues, and he just put it perfectly.
Well, I can't wait. You guys have to hit me up personally. Let me know what you think with the rest of the series.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about it.
I'll send you.
I don't know
Yeah.
watch it tonight.
And that's the thing though, because I am not that type of person who reads books twice, who watches movies twice. It's you have to be a very good. It has to be a very good thing. And
I'm
watching
like
it,
that too.
I watched it again because, like I said, I watched all 10 episodes, and I was like, I need to watch it again so I can, have everything perfect. And there was just little things that I'm like, dang, I didn't see that the first time. Like, it's just so much stuff crammed in, but it's not where it feels like it's crammed in.
Yeah, it's not right.
It's just
It's nuance.
Yeah,
Yes.
all these little things are just perfectly placed. However, it's that time.
Oh,
That time.
It's that time
to say goodbye.
I want to thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you for having
Yes.
me. This is a blast.
You gotta
I
come
love
back and hang out
Yeah,
with
just
us.
like chatting, girl talk. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys do like another episode recap or something, I think it'd be
Yeah.
good. Or we could talk about another show that I like. I like that too.
Right?
Yeah.
No, right? Hey,
Just come
girl,
hang.
we'll
Just
bring
come
you
hang
in.
with
We
us.
definitely should have you in for the
I
finale.
would love that. I would love
Yes.
that.
That'd be
Because
amazing.
talking with you guys, I really you guys have such varied and unique and interesting opinions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really smart.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you as well.
I know,
Yes.
I know. Giving us some inside tea.
Yeah.
I know, you gave away some stuff that you didn't give it away, but
Well-
and I understood, and I was like,
But
they don't-
because we-
they-
you know,
it's just-
I mean, I caught it.
Been doing this a while. No, I'm just kidding.
No, and see, girl, and see, there you go. There you go. No, and it's amazing to see your career go from where it's going into
Thank
yeah.
you.
So
Yes,
I'm
girl.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hashtag Black Girl Magic.
Yes.
Okay,
All the
and-
time.
Hashtag Black Excellence.
All right.
Yes.
Hashtag pink and green.
Hashtag talented Tim. Yes.
Where can people find you?
Oh, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Ashley Blaine, and then on Snapchat it's that's so ABF because somebody has Ashley Blaine. Don't know who it is.
Lame.
They tried it.
So
Whatever.
quickly, we've decided to do a segment called Dear White People, just a little sentence. So
Okay.
if you want, we can make time. If you guys want
Let 'em
to
know.
start it, you guys can start it off and then say your hashtag or your social after that, and then once you see us, you can.
Ooh, that's a okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, dear white people, it's never okay for you to use the N-word. Please stop saying it. Don't say it. You sound lame. It's stupid. And there is no opposite way. Black people should be the only people who can use that word because whoever is oppressing you should not be using the word that they use to oppress you. And for any other culture who does use it, it's just a little corny.
Damn. But wait. How did Raquel? I was literally going to say that.
Oh no, just go deeper on it. Go deeper on it, girl. We piggybacking.
I will say, dear white people, telling us which black people you'd sleep with does not make us feel good. That's called a fetish. It's racist. We don't like it.
And perverted and weird.
Don't do it.
To piggyback off of what Raquel said, dear white people, it is not okay to use the N-word. It doesn't matter if you're dating a black person, if you have black children, if you listen to hip hop.
Come on
If
now.
Kanye West personally told you it was okay to say it. If you feel like you are part of the culture, it is not okay. And when a black person tells you it's not okay, don't
Okay.
debate them.
Don't question me.
You can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom.
Where can they find you two ladies?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, my name is Raquel Harris. You can find me on all social media at Raquel Harris TV.
Hey everyone, it's Ivanna Williams. You can find me on Twitter at Ivanna L. Williams.
And do you want to?
Where's my camera? Is this my camera?
Yes.
Dear white people, it's okay for us to say Black Lives Matter because they do.
Come on now.
That's it. I think that's all I have to say about
Ooh.
that.
Yeah. We got
really saying wrap up.
Funk Master Flex.
That's a lot
That's not a rap. That's an I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, that's a lot to follow behind. Dear white people, if your questions are coming out of curiosity and not from ignorance, please ask. If they are coming based off of stereotypes, keep them to yourself.
Don't touch my hand.
Silence is key.
That one.
All right.
I can't with these horns.
Each one teach one.
Where can I find you?
You guys can find me at TK Trinidad. I love all the comments you guys are giving, so keep on with the comments.
yes.
Thank you.
As far as iTunes, definitely listen to us on iTunes. 5 stars or better. If you don't get 5 stars, don't bother. Put it down. We will be back
Damn.
next week,
Yes.
4 p.m.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I was
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.